Namaste everyone. This is Dr. Pratibha Case, Head Department of Biotechnology at KLE Society's S. Nijlingappa College, Rajayanagar, Bengaluru. Today I'm before you to introduce one of my students by name Miss Vanishri G from second year CBBT. She is going to present our seminar topic on proteins. Now over to Vanishri.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening to one and all. I, Vanishri from second year CBBT. Today, I am here to present the seminar about the proteins. You all might have already heard the term protein is something. It is an important compound of an healthy diet. But we don't know what the proteins actually are. So that's what we are going to learn today. Before that, let us see what we are learning by the seminar. First, we are going to learn sources of proteins, introduction about proteins, peptide bonds, examples of protein function, protein folding, protein misfolding, typical structure of amino acid, and structure of proteins. In structure of proteins, we are going to study the four structure of proteins. That is first one primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. And denaturation, and last we are going to summary. So let us get into the topic. When we heard the term protein, the question will arise us that what are the sources of proteins? Answer is proteins come from two sources, animal foods and plant foods. In first one, animal foods. Animal sources of proteins are considered high quality proteins because they contain all the essential amino acid and are easier for the body to digest and utilize. Example of animal sources are beef, fish, egg, turkey, chicken, and etc. And second one, plant foods. Most plant sources do not contain all the essential amino acids. So it is important to eat a variety of plant proteins every day. Plant sources examples are peas, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, etc. Some good sources of protein, for example, a broiled steak can also contain high levels of fat and sodium. Other sources such as salmon are lower in sodium. Beans, chickpeas, lentils, tofu, and low-fat dairy products are also good sources of protein, as well as many other health-promoting nutrients like antioxidants and fiber. A diet that uses these at last sometimes instead of meat, especially red meat, is less likely to lead weight gain and the other health problems. One study has shown that women who had high protein intake primarily from vegetable source had a 30% lower risk of heart disease compared with women who had a higher protein, lower carbohydrate intake, but primarily from animal sources. So next here is an interesting question that have you guys ever wondered why egg whites go from clear to opaque when you fry an egg? If so, this is for us. Egg whites contain large amount of proteins called albumins, and the albumins normally have a specific 3D shape thanks to bonds between different amino acids in the protein. Eating causes these bonds to break and exposes hydrophobic, means water heating, amino acids usually kept on the inside of the protein. The hydrophobic amino acids trying to get away from the water surrounding them in the egg white will stick to one another, form the water surrounding them in the egg white will stick to one another, forming a protein network that gives the egg white structure while turning it white and opaque. This is how egg whites go from clear to opaque when you fry an egg. So now let us come to the introduction about proteins. Proteins are molecules that are called polymers. A polymer is any molecule that is made up of individual building blocks that are linked together in the repeating unit. So this whole repeating unit are called polymers, and those individual building blocks are called monomers, and the monomer that make a proteins are called amino acids. And proteins, 20% of the human body is made up of proteins. Proteins are the large complex molecules that are critical for normal functioning of cells. So why these proteins are essential for human body? They are essential for the structure, functions, and regulation of the body's tissues and organs. So proteins are made up of what? Proteins are made up of smaller units called amino acids, which are building block of proteins. They are attached to one another by peptide bonds, forming a long chain of proteins. Then, protein is a macronutrient. It is one of the 3 nutrients found in food that body needs in large amounts. It is essential for the maintenance and building of body tissues and muscle. Proteins are made up of small components called amino acids. Hundreds of amino acids exist in nature, but the human body only uses 22 of them. In the 22, the body can produce all, but 9 amino acids it needs. These 9 are called essential amino acids. They must come from food. All foods contain differing combinations of amino acids. In general, animal proteins like meat, dairy, and eggs contain all the essential amino acids. Plant-based proteins from foods like beans, grains, nuts, and soya are rich in some amino acids but may lack others. A well-balanced diet with a variety of foods can provide sufficient protein for the body's needs. Proteins are covalently linked linear polymer of amino acids, and proteins occur in great variety and size, varying from small peptides of the molecular mass of about 2000 to large polymers of molecular mass in millions. Proteins are produced and occupy the largest protein of cells. Each protein is unique by the genetic information it represents. Accordingly, they perform different functions: structural support, hormones, antibodies, catalytically active enzymes, signal receptors, transporters of specific substances in and out of cell walls, etc. A protein polymer chain is seldom linear. Each protein chain adopts a unique final folded structure that can be understood as a developing from a linear primary structure through secondary, tertiary, and finally to quaternary structure. So as we studied peptide bonds while we are studying introduction about the proteins. So what are these peptide bonds? A peptide bond is an amide type of covalent chemical bond linking two conjugative alpha amino acids. From C1 means carbon number 1 of one alpha amino acid, and N2 means nitrogen number 2 of another along the peptide or protein chain. It can also be called an eupeptide bond to separate it from an isopeptide bond, a different type of amide bond between two amino acids. So here is the example of protein functions. Proteins play key roles in a living system. So let us know the examples of protein functions. First is catalysis. Almost all chemical reactions in a living cell are catalyzed by protein enzymes. For example, alcohol dehydrogenase oxidizes alcohols to aldehydes or ketones. And then transport. Some protein transports various substances such as oxygens, ions, and so on. For example, hemoglobin carries oxygen. And the third one, information transfer. For example, hormones. Insulin controls the amount of sugar in the blood. Next, protein folding. Interactions between the side chains of amino acids determine how a long polypeptide chain folds into intricate three-dimensional shape of the functional protein. Interactions involving hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic bonds, and disulfide bonds all exert an influence on the folding process. In protein folding, role of chaperones in protein folding. Chaperones are required for proper folding of many species of proteins. These are also known as heat shock. Proteins interact with the polypeptide at various stages during the folding process. Till now, we have studied about the protein folding. Now, let us study about the protein misfolding. Protein folding is trial and error process that can sometimes result in improperly folded molecules. And misfolded proteins are usually tagged and degraded within the cell. Next, before going to structure of proteins, first let us study the structure of typical amino acid. Amino acids are the monomers, the building block of proteins. The one end of the amino acids, it has the amino group, and amino acid, it has the amino groups, and amino group is made up of nitrogen with 2 hydrogens, and then the other end is the carboxyl group, and carboxyl group is made up of a carbon double bonded oxygen and OH. And in the middle, we have the alpha carbon or the center carbon, which links gather the amino group and the carboxyl group. And one end of the carbon add the hydrogen, and in the other end is the very important R group, also called the variable group. The variable group varies among the different amino acids. So all amino acids as the amino group, the alpha carbon and the group are the same for all the amino acids, but the different amino acids will have the different variable groups. So this is about the structure of typical amino acid. So now let us study about the structure of proteins. The sequence of a protein is determined by the DNA of the gene that encodes a portion of the protein for multi-subunit proteins. A change in the gene's DNA sequence may lead to change in the amino acid sequence of the protein. Even changing just one amino acid in a protein sequence can affect the protein's overall structure and function. To understand how a protein gets its final shape or conformation, we need to understand the 4 levels of protein. They are primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and last quaternary structure. First, let us study about the primary structure. The simplest level of protein structure. Primary structure is simply the sequence of amino acids in a polypeptide chain. And the hormone insulin has 2 polypeptide chains A and B. The sequence of the A chain and the sequence of the B chain can be considered as an example of primary structure. The primary structure of a protein refers to the sequence of amino acids in the polypeptide chain. The primary structure is held together by peptide bonds that are made during the process of protein biosynthesis. The 2 ends of the polypeptide chain are referred to as the carboxyl terminus, C terminus, and the amino terminus means N terminus based on the nature of the free group on each extremity. Counting of residues always starts at the N-terminal end, which is end where the amino group is not involved in a peptide bond. The primary structure of a protein is determined by the gene corresponding to the protein. A specific sequence of nucleotides in DNA is transcribed into mRNA, which is read by the ribosome in a process called translation. The sequence of amino acids in insulin was discovered by Frederick Sanger, establishing that proteins have defining amino acid sequences. So the sequence of a protein is unique to that protein and defines the structure and function of the protein. The sequence of a protein can be determined by the methods such as Edman degradation or tandem mass spectrometry. Often, however, it is read directly from the sequence of the gene using the genetic code. It is strictly recommended to use the words amino acid residues when discussing proteins, because when a peptide bond is formed, a water molecule is lost and therefore proteins are made up of amino acid residues. Post-translation modification such as phosphorylations and glycosylations are usually also considered a part of the primary structure and cannot be read from the gene. For example, insulin is composed of 51 amino acids in 2 chains. One chain has 31 amino acids and the other has 20 amino acids. That's all about the primary structures. Now let us know about the secondary structure of protein. Secondary structure refers to local folded structures that form within a polypeptide due to interactions between atoms. The most common types of secondary structures are the alpha helix and the beta pleated sheet. Both structures are held in shape by hydrogen bonds which form between the carbonyl oxygen of one amino acid and the amino H of another. And secondary structure refers to highly regular local substructures on the actual polypeptide backbone chain. Two main types of secondary structure, the alpha helix and the beta strand or beta sheets, were suggested in 1951 by Linus Paul et al. These secondary structures are defined by patterns of hydrogen bonds between the chain peptide groups. They have a regular geometry being constrained to specific values of the dihedral angles and on the Ramachandran plot. Both the alpha helix and the beta sheet represent a way of saturating all the hydrogen bond donors and acceptors in the peptide backbone. Some parts of the protein are ordered but do not form any regular structures. They should not be confused with random coil, an unfolded polypeptide chain lacking any fixed three-dimensional structure. Several sequential secondary structures may form a super secondary unit. So now come to the tertiary structure. The overall three-dimensional structure of a polypeptide is called its tertiary structure. The tertiary structure is primary due to interactions between the R groups of the amino acids that make up the protein. Important to tertiary structure are hydrophobic interactions in which amino acids with non-polar hydrophobic R groups clustered together on the inside of the protein, leaving hydrophilic amino acids on the outside to interact with surrounding water molecules. Also, disulfide bonds, covalent linkages between the sulfur-containing side chains of cysteines are much stronger than the other type of bonds. And tertiary structure refers to the three-dimensional structure of monomeric and multimeric protein molecules. The alpha helixes and beta pleated sheets are folded into a compact globular structure. The folding is driven by the non-specific hydrophobic interactions, the burial of hydrophobic residues from water. but the structure is not stable only when the parts of protein domain are locked into place by specific tertiary interactions such as salt bridges, hydrogen bonds, and the tight packing of side chains and disulfide bonds. The disulfide bonds are extremely rare in cytosolic proteins since the cytosol means intercellular fluid is generally a reducing environment. Now, quaternary structure. When multiple polypeptide chain subunits come together, then the protein attains its quaternary structure. An example for quaternary structure is hemoglobin. The hemoglobin carries oxygen in the blood and is made up of 4 subunits, 2 each of the alpha and the beta types. Quaternary structure is the 3-dimensional structure consisting of the aggregation of 2 or more individual polypeptide chains that operate as a single functional unit multimer. The resulting multimer is stabilized by the same non-covalent interactions and the disulfide bonds as in tertiary structures. There are many possible quaternary structure organizations, complexes of 2 or more polypeptides, that is multiple subunits, are called multimers. Specifically, it would be called a dimer if it contains 2 subunits, a trimer if it contains 3 subunits, a tetramer if it contains 4 subunits, and a pentamer if it contains 5 subunits. The subunits are frequently related to one another by symmetry operations, such as a 2-fold axis in a dimer. Multimers made up of identical subunits are referred to with a prefix of homo, and those made up of different subunits are referred to with a prefix of hetero. For example, heterotetramer, such as the 2 alpha and 2 beta chains of hemoglobin. This is all about the structure, 4 structure of proteins. Already we have studied the primary. This is the primary structure you are seeing here. Primary structure, we have already studied. The primary structure is simply the order of amino acids that make a polypeptide chain is the sequence how these amino acids are linked together. It's not really a structure, just a sequence. Then we have studied the secondary structure. The secondary structure is the particular shape that just a segment polypeptide chain takes on. So it's not a 3-dimensional shape of the entire polypeptide, just the segment of it. And these are the 2 types. One is alpha helix, is the segment of a chain is forming the helical structure. And the other is the secondary structure is the beta pleated shape. The beta pleated shape is when the chain of amino acids just folds over on itself to become this folded shape. And we have studied the tertiary structure of the proteins. The tertiary structure is the 3D shape of the entire polypeptide chain. So it is how all the different secondary structures fold in on themselves to become this overall globular 3-dimensional shape of the protein. Then we have studied the quaternary structure. The quaternary protein structure is when you have more than one polypeptide chain making up a particular protein. So not all protein have the quaternary structure. Only certain ones that are made up of more than one polypeptide chain that interact together to form fully functional protein. So we have studied all the protein structures. Now, what holds all these protein structures together? In primary structure, the primary structure holds together with a peptide bond. This is the type of covalent bond that links the amino acids together. And secondary structure is holds by the alpha helix and beta sheeted sheets are held together through the hydrogen bonds. And tertiary structure are held together through many interactions. We have hydrogen bonds between the different variable groups of the amino acids, Some of the amino acids can interact through ionic bonds. So when certain amino acids have either have acidic or basic side chains of variable groups, we can interact through acid-base interaction, also known as ionic bonds. So this is all about the structure of proteins. And now coming to the denaturation. Each protein has its own unique shape. If the temperature or pH of protein's environment is changed, or if it is exposed to chemicals, these interactions may be disrupted, causing the protein to lose its three-dimensional structure and turn back into an unsaturated string of amino acids. When a protein loses its higher order structure but not its primary sequence, it is said to be denatured. Denatured proteins are usually non-functional. And last, whatever we all studied is proteins are key players in our living systems. Proteins are polymers consisting of 20 kinds of amino acids. Each protein folds into a unique three-dimensional structure defined by its amino acid sequence. Protein structure has a hierarchical nature. Protein structure is closely related to its function. Protein structure prediction is a grand challenge of computational biology. So this completes about my seminar. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Pratibha K.S. Ma'am, Head of Department Biotechnology, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to do the seminar in live section. Thank you so much, ma'am, and for guiding me to do this seminar. Thanks to all my dear friends for spending your valuable time in this section. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Vanishri, for your wonderful presentation on proteins. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Interaction session we will do in our regular classes. Okay. And there you will receive the feedback and rest of the questions. I thank all the students for investing your quality of time on Sunday on this special seminar class. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you.